Okay, so yeah, the project is called Being Jack Malkovich and is about Jack Ma arriving to Krakow and after witnessing some frustration in the experience he has from the contemporary life, decides to create a constitution and create a sort of place which is becomes a black hole for contemporary culture and links Krakow to all the brand. But yeah, first let me tell you the story of it. Prologue: how soon is now? How did they meet? By chance, like everyone else. But it was sure that Jack Ma landing to the John Paul II Krakow-Balice International Airport meant somehow something sometime. These two encounter each other at some point. At some points, they are stationary and they look deeply into the eyes of each other. Hang Xiao Chan, 11 p.m., gate 3, cancel. This does not mean anything. Maybe it was yesterday. John Paul II, you might complain if I said yesterday merely. Jack Ma, he will pick me up at Charles de Gaulle Airport, but he never did. He ditched me and now here I am standing at the edge of the tarmac. They're all the same, aren't they? John Paul II. What makes quantum physics so strange is that one can cheat in reality with one beings. If I'm telling you that, it is to help you understand that the relationship with the other is not that easy. Unfortunately, the one must inevitably obstruct the other for his own sadistic pleasure. Jack Ma, men are all the same. I'm wondering, is the contrary city like the contrary airport all the same? John, you don't listen to me. Are we even talking? Jack, yes, I hear you. I just don't like what you're telling me. It is so easy to moralize in retrospect. I know that should go beyond that, but fuck though, it hurts so. The man of resentment is a man of profit and gain. Yes, he hurt you. It was necessary that you should betray. It was impossible for him not to betray. See the bright side of it. We both know that tenderness to individuals is considered as treason to the public. Anyway, this whole situation belongs to the past. You know that the political times and mode of production have changed. Jack, I don't care, I'm just upset. The frightening truth is that a safe word is no protection at all if a top or dominant doesn't give a shit about your boundaries. John, but you can change that. The world is yours if you play for the mayor and his trading trust. You have an experience, a vision to share. Jack, no one will give a shit. I don't give a shit for him. I don't even give a shit for you. John, fine. Dispute the verse. The bus just arrived. It will probably take you somewhere, but be careful. A man like you traveled in it before. His treatment of the bus had been brutal. Before leaving, Jack turned back one last time. Talking with you led to nothing. The dialogue is dead. We have to overpass this conception. Why is it always about the two of something? I want to leave and count to 3. Then we can start a new path at once. I'm calling it. The trichotomy prevails in these chapters also. In between log, 1 point perspective. What Jack Ma could never assume is his incapacity to count beyond 3. He goes 1, 2, 3, but then forgets. He had always been a man of innovation, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in the world of business. But as he crossed the vast unforgiving expanse of the desert in a rickety old bus, he found himself pondering the concept of the city as we know it. Are we really so different from the trichotomy of birds, fish, and frogs? He wondered aloud, looking out at the endless expanse of land and sky, almost indistinguishable through the darkness of the night. As the bus jolted around, he found his mind lost in thought, contemplating the strange shapes that rose up from the desert floor like strange phallic pillars. The needles make up one long horizontal image of strange phallic shape, reaching up at the sky, irregular, asymmetrical, rugged, eerie, smooth. He muttered to himself, scribing notes in a worn leather journal. It was then that he realized that the movie stars and matinee idols of the past are put in the public domain by photography, and that the direction of history is as integral. History doesn't make a choice, it doesn't moralize. The wave function and Hilbert space, which constitute arguably the most fundamental physical reality, are purely mathematical objects. He wrote, his pen moving swiftly across the page. But as he continued to ponder, he realized that the city was not so different from the world of business. In the first place, it is strengthened by the profit made through cheating, cunning, inside knowledge, ability, and 1,000 market constellation in the selling of commodities. The field he selects and what he cultivates are determined by the local condition in his specialty and by that specialty's position in the knowledge market, he wrote, his eyes glinting with the fire of inspiration. As the bus lurked on, he found himself And then the bus hit a particular rough patch of road and a splash of liquid dumped the seat beside him, but without a single damage. The liquid is harmless. He realized that beating, whisking, and whipping could change the volume, but not the nature of a liquid through agitation. It was the perfect meteor. Before forgetting, he synthesizes the wildest thoughts he had in a series of questions to himself. What would be a garden where new politicians come to negotiate and drink wine on picnic blanket? Could buildings envelope provide television, information, and the Super Bowl halftime show to rule the nation's landscapes? Does a sort of cozy parliament with carpets where I can discuss with the 20s like an active cemetery? Wouldn't it be nice to have a saturated place where we can print books, like trading and sharing knowledge on the whole floor? If I look for a space with 3 million pencils, a precision place of drafting and execution, will I find it like my own room? If we were rats, would city cables, trays, and water pipes be our infrastructures to eat cheese and have pleasure? With a smile on his face and a renewed sense of purpose, Jack knew that he was ready to transform it all somewhere, somehow, somewhat. The bus stops, everybody left the shuttle, and Jack discovered on the first rays of the sun hitting his face that this bus had brought him to the sewage treatment plant plateau. Good call, John, he whispered to himself. Epilogue, Lust for Life. The Collective Action Institution, or a new manifesto for change and transformation, a proposition by Jack Ma. Preamble. I'm worth $1 million in prizes with my torture film, drive a GTO, wear a uniform, all on government law. Yeah, I'm through with sleeping on sidewalk. No more beating my brains. No more beating my brains with the liquor and drugs, Article 1.1, trichotomy toward antichotomy. Beyond good and evil, we can find a third wheel that will force the movement of the static and comforting duality. Toward the cure, toward understanding, yes. The logic is quite simple. 3 is the only natural number, which is at the same time the closest to 2 and closer than 2 to the infinity. It is the simplest choice to start a revolution. As soon as the third person will join, the basic life of the couple will stop and the plot against urbanists will be able to start. Conspiracy as abstract sex proposes a third route out of this dominant dichotomy. Direct application, any kind of dichotomous conception or relationship will be progressively banned, without any kind of force, but through a natural process of understanding and a program of sensibilization. For the city, the result is a creation of precondition for the reader to discover a multitude of relationships not intended. Article 2.1, People Against Metropolis. We know the scheme from the past. The constitution was that of the heroic age, Assembly of the People, Council of the People, Basileus. Apparently designing for people, the urban application of the politics failed. People will be coming together, starting from 3 and toward everybody, in order to orchestrate a stupid, irrational, and necessary attack on the metropolis. The choice is actually the most rational decision for a quest of a new city without bombing everything, which is what rationalists do. Direct application. Through abolishment of the norms, people are invited to act positively stupid in a planned street for an appropriation of the metropolis. A financial compensation will be offered to the people for this self-organized process of design. People as autonomous architects, they exist in large number and are spread across the city. Article 3.1, fake plastic idols. We always love them, those rationalists. Every metropolis has its staff of officials. They became living legends. Mickey Yeager of Internal Affairs, Michael Jordan of the Education, Miley Cyrus of the Defense and the Army. Blindness under their authority is something we accepted easily, alongside lots and lots of plastic flowers. But if they are gone, it becomes interesting. We need now to rely on figures beyond the borders of society. Figures from the past to produce cultural data such as heritage artifacts, geometric motifs that depict nature and the universe, music, performance, and games. Direct application, a first temporary synthetic government is nominated, composed of Anita Steckel, Cy Twombly, Stephen Hawking, Vivienne Westwood, Lois Milo-Jones, Lygia Clark, Zaha Hadid, early works, Nikit Sanfal, and Akira Kurosawa. If you heard of them, it's good. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You will learn they're not going anywhere. You will sit in a parliament dedicated to their absence. They were not a political party. They made pretense to no formal religion. Article 1.2, hyperreferential architecture. This is a common situation. In the background is a piece of classical architecture. On her screen was an open letter to architect. Its first word, "Dear architects, I am sick of your shit." It is time that we develop a palace which relates to what the people know and see. A city that now truly represents the mirror image of culture. It is simple. If the architecture is contextual in erotic closeness, I become hyper aware of my physicality. If we achieve such a project, the new hyper aesthetic may include an ethical dimension based on what one might term the collective experience of immanence. Direct application, a popular drafting office will be set up to freely handle and convert the great digital flow. There is no application of the scientific process, and the data gathered are not used to analyze the behavior of the population as a whole. Check my quote. In other words, they do not dematerialize a concrete form by replacing the concrete, they dematerialize the concrete itself. Article 2.2, civic Hilbert space. We have to accept it. The old civic state and national groupings have become unworkable. The aversion of a spatial condition stuck in a representation spanning between 1 and 4 dimensions is symptomatic of the multitude we are looking for. The people can't stand anymore a society composed of a small, finite number of categories. An alternative has to be settled down. There's Hilbert space, where quantum mechanical wave functions undulate alongside information in the land of thousand dances. Cultural, digitalized, and historical space has many dimensions. The city we are looking for has an endless numbers of identities. This implies both a revision of the urban space and a redefinition of civic responsibility. Direct application, the new communication system radically transforms space and time, the fundamental dimension of human life. A new paradigm is defined. It does not limit itself anymore. It is now an n-dimensional space where people can finally feel whole in it. The government and popular drafting office will take care of its application. Jack Ma comment, Descartes contented himself to 2 dimensions, well, he sucks. Article 2.3, knowledge market economy. While physicists were looking for a theory of everything, politicians seeking for a utopia that will never happen, and economists exploring how rubbish theory could be used to exploit consumer-based markets, the people themselves realized they were the means of production for a new city. Hours spent on free digitalizing encyclopedia and social media turned out to be what defines the new economical actor of our world. Originally, the knowledge of my thesis was confined to the magician. Now it is fully online. People have become the generators of the ultimate resource. Before growth aimed at discerning the inner meanings of a range of religious revelations and scientific cosmologies, from now on, it will be the index of a bigger and bigger system of information sharing. Direct application, the economic system as we know it is abolished. No one knows what that means, but it's happening. Major investment will be made to progressively replace capital by information. A trading floor will be set up to manage and brew the collective wealth in the treatment basin. Article 1.3, phallic-less city construction. Assuming the toxic fascination of the past society for dicks as symbols and political actors, an initiative must be started against the dominance of rigid steel and concrete structure that adorn the central district of all our major cities. Do we not encounter here the split between the phallic economy and the non-phallic domain? No, because it has extended to all domains, it takes way too much space. Over abstract space reigns phallic's omnipresence and metaphorical load-bearing elements. In this trash space, much of this waste is the result of overproduction, expiration, spoiling, and contamination through material symbols of erected objects. Direct application and transition on several decades is engaged to transform the built environment and reduce as much as possible the summoning of phallic symbols. The horizontality and verticality of walls, together with their cubicalness and curvilinearity, represent very different aspects of the spatial character and diversity the people will be looking for.
Frisch vom Fass ist Bier ein Genuss für alles Leben. Wir zeigen in wenigen Schritten das perfekte Bitburger-Premium gezapft wird.
Article 2.3, culture becoming liquid. A new, more equal city through the new constructive and economic system needs to materialize its wealth in a new way. While citizens believe that producers form the basis of the nation's wealth by literally creating material abundance, the people understood that the collective body is animated by an immaterial substance, which is what later becomes of this commodity all systems are looking for. An in-between state, a quantum state of wealth, the liquid fire. Direct application, a new form of wealth will be managed and distributed through the sewage path. This new form includes a shared resource produced by and for users communities and governed by these communities. The spatial climate should follow the paradigm shifts. Let's put a bath next to the academies and employ bath attendants along with the professors. Article 3.3, image forever there. Data is a mirror carried along a highway. It is a reflection of who we are and needs to be expressed in the material we produce. The people will embrace that image, trademarks, and logos taken from familiar media formats will be graved in their spatial condition. Moving through the city becomes a promenade where we conceive the advance to knowledge as a gradual recovery of truths stored in the subconscious. The information which will enlarge our thought to infinite space and will keep us up at night under the light of the blue screen will finally be translated into a new constructive conscious city, an animal composed by everyone, everything, everywhere. Direct application. The government will take care that the heritage of our culture and knowledge stays engraved as much in the mind that it will become in the stones. The Sewage Palace Expo has an open manifesto to support that the accumulated images reinforce the credibility of the term. Jack Ma quote, I like that, the rest is history.
Слушки мешают.
Не психуй, Пранова.
Что? Прямо так бы стукал?
Я стучал, просто ты не слышал. А у тебя видит через стенку лучше.
Say that again. CDO A has parts of CDO B, and CDO B has parts of CDO A, but then they both get put inside CDO C.
Yeah, that one's called CDO squared. CDO of a CDO. All right? And then there's CDOs made up on the opposite side of the bed you make with the swaps. We call them synthetic CDOs.
What did you synthetic CDOs?
Synthetic CDOs.
That is fucking crazy.
It's not. It's awesome.
First epilogue, The Fool on the Hill. Well, this looks like the beginning of a movie. It isn't, but it's neither an ending. At some point, you just realize that you can't distinguish anymore the things you see from images that have already been produced. Beyond the great facade, you will find something like a secret public park where Jack Ma lives now, in his imperfect replica of the Office KGDV's solo house, standing on his perfect replica of the Toblerone Mountain, a privatized Tower of Babel for the man who sold and then bought back the world. In the same worn leather journal, he starts to write the words he stole from Dickens. I see a beautiful city and a brilliant people rising from this abyss. I see the lives for which I lay down my life, peaceful, useful, prosperous, and happy. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to that I have. He suddenly stops when realizing that Charles Dickens' words are actually complete shit and preferred to close his journal and to light up a cigarette while looking at the view he has from his terrace. What initially sounds like a biblical, never-ending stream of metaphors moves beyond metaphor, taking on the quality of the real. No more beating my brains with the liquor and drugs, with the liquor and drugs. Thank you.